Hello everyone, welcome to Cricketic. I know this has been a long due. IPL season has already completed. RCB has won their maiden trophy and we are yet to start our season analysis videos. But when we are starting it, you obviously know all the given things about all the teams. So whatever we are going to present in this video is more about the deep insights or analysis than just factual numbers. So we are not going to say that RCB has won. There are different men of the matches in most of the match, and they played like a team. But try to unravel the strategy, and it's not only going about RCB. In coming videos, you will see the same about many other teams as well. First of all, we have to understand what has worked for RCB. They already had a team in the past for many years. That's why they made the highest number of playoffs after MI and CSK. And they already played three finals before this one. So that doesn't mean that things were not really clicking out for them. Many times they had very strong team. For example, in 2009 and 2011, they were not lacking the quality bowling which we used to call for RCB, especially in the Virat Kohli era or during the last 2013 to 2020 or 2022 kind of times. Then what is it that worked this time which was lacking last times? It was a smart strategy, and that is what we are gonna record in this particular video. So let's start with the auction. In the auction, they tried to build depth instead of hype. If you remember the past few auctions, there was more hype than depth. They in the last big auction they bought Harshal and Hasranga at 10.75. They could have retained them at much lower price, but they didn't. So that was one of those things which they did last time. Uh, they bought 65% of the money was spent on top five buys. This time only 45% in the auction. And similarly, Hazlewood, who was a very crucial player, other than that, they didn't actually paid a lot for any other player. So that also shows that their auction strategy was very materialistic. They didn't go for just big names. Even in history, if you see, they bought Yuvraj Singh at a very high amount, Shane Watson, DK, and even in the last one of the mini auction, they went for Pat Cummins till 20 crore when their budget itself was 22. So many times they did it and they failed because they couldn't build the depth because of the hype. Fortunately, this time things didn't work that way. They couldn't buy Chahal at around 15, 16 crore. They couldn't buy Venkatesh at around 23 crore. And that's the reason they were able to build this depth. So there was also a luck factor involved. Since they built the depth, there is also one thing they did in the auction, which was letting go of sentiments. They started with clean slate. Rather than last time when they bought Harshal, Hasranga, Shahbaz at a higher price, rather than retaining like Harshal and Hasranga, this time they didn't do that. If they wanted to retain them, they would have retained already. They didn't go in the auction and bid for them or even use right to match. So that was a clear strategy that they want to come with a clean slate and want to buy only quality they actually needed. So that was one of the things they didn't go for any sentimental purchases. If you remember, there was Siraj in the auction, there was Rahul in the auction. They were asking for Rahul's homecoming. They had a big purse, so they all wanted him to go for Rahul. Even Bluesy Chahal was there. They wanted to try for him. Even Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer. But RCB didn't go for such kind of sentimental things and try to go for a very balanced squad. Even in the Indian core, they were heavily reliant on the few players in the past. There was Virat, there was DK, maybe Harshal, Siraj, or at some point of Chahal. But it wasn't like more than three or four players were their core in the past, and mostly in batting there was just weekend, sometimes DK, sometimes Devdutt. This time they had a broader spread, like Rajat was there, Chitesh was there, Devdutt was there, and in bowling Ruby Suresh was there, and then they had Krunal Pandya kind of all rounder. So these are making their core. Even when Devdutt went due to injury, they brought Mayank, and it was amazing to see that he was clearly filling the gap and really played crucial knocks when needed. Again, coming to bench strength, this time if something happened to somebody, they had proper replacements. You can see at least 2-3 batsmen in India who can play. There was Rasik Salam who can actually replace one of the bowler, and then they also had a good bench strength for their pace overseas, like NVD, Tushara. Then there was Shefford and Bethel who kind of replaced Salt, Livingston, and Tim David at particular moments. So this clearly shows that they try to have a balanced purchases rather than going for big bucks for one or two players. The rise of Indian backbone. This is the core reason, I would say, which changed RCB. If you see last 10 years around, there wasn't a solid Indian core. This time they had it. If you see RCB 2022, It's VK or DK over the main Indians. Rajat actually came later on, but in one season he didn't play at all, and in one season 2022 he was actually amazing as a kind of a superstar in the playoff. During the season, he wasn't that great, and he actually joined midway as a injury replacement. In 2025, however, they had a much broader spread. We already talked about it, and I think that was one of the reasons they actually succeeded. Now, there is also one big thing which RCB did, which they used to fail to apply last times. So, for example, to fill the gaps of overseas, just to just cover the limitations of their Indian team. So in top order, they all know that Virat Kohli is great, but he is not that kind of a power hitter which is needed in opening. And therefore, they bought Salt, who can actually support Virat, which were used to do more like an aggressive uh, player, but not that kind of attacking which Salt can bring to the table. Similarly, in the lower order and middle order power hitting, DK used to play with like so Anuj Rawat, Mahipal Lomro. This kind of player doesn't have that kind of firepower. And that's where this season they brought Livingston, Team David, and Sheffield. Two of them are going to play in the team, and you can see the kind of hitting they have. Obviously, Livingston didn't have a great season, but at least by the name, you can trust this guy more than any Anuj Rawat or Mahipal Lomro. And we have seen that in the final when he actually hit those two big sixes. Now, coming back to another part, there was all-rounder in India, like Krunal Pandya, because Akshar and Jadeja were already retained, so they didn't go for a mediocre all-rounder like Shahbaz last year, as they went for him last time. They instead got Krunal. Again, coming to one or two few areas where you will see that the number three part, where they used to play very inconsistent batting lineup. Sometimes Cameron Green comes, sometimes even Shahbaz Ahmed used to come, Washington Sundar used to come. Then they tried Anuj Rawat and many other. But eventually, this time what they did is they brought Devdutt Padikkal and gave him a option that play free cricket with burden is not on you, and you can see the kind of growth he had, comeback he had, and then again same thing was applied to Mayank, and he has done the same because they were having less pressure on themselves due to the confidence in the other players of the team, and that's why they also improved their performances. So that kind of limit is what they knew and try to fill those gaps. If you remember two incidences, you would understand what I'm trying to say. In Jitesh case, just before Jitesh, Ishan Kishan was sold at 11 crore. That means they had somewhere around 11 to 12 crore for their wicketkeeper, Indian wicketkeeper. But they didn't go for Ishan. They went for Jitesh because he plays in the middle order. The same thing was done during Will Jacks versus Team David fight. They didn't go for Will Jacks. They went for Team David, and that looked like a gamble, but turned out to be a masterstroke. Because Team David plays it to the finish. And if you see the reason why Mumbai Indians couldn't click, one big reason was that after Naman Deep, at 7 they had Michelle Santner and then a very big kind of batting lineup who can't power hit. And that's where Tim David and likes of Krunal Pandya even or Jitesh helps RCB. Fix what's broken, trust what's wrong. So if you see the places where they were doing really well last time, they didn't try to change those roles. They just kind of filled the positions for the player which they were not planning to buy back. So VK Rajat were playing at the same level they used to. Instead of Faf, they bought Salt. Uh, Similarly, for Green, you can say they bought Devdutt, and for Maxwell, they bought Livingston. So that's what they did in their top five because top order wasn't the problem. Middle order was DKs with DK with unkept Indians. So since they bought Devdutt at Green's place, they got one more overseas slot for the middle, and that's what they did here. They bought Krunal Pandya, Jitesh, the experienced players, and Team David in this middle order, so that Jitesh and KP can play a bit of moderate cricket and the power hitting can also be distributed to Team David. In bowling, they got Josh back because he is one of the players who did really well for them. Same thing was done with the Dayal and for Siraj, Harshal, Khan Dagar. They realized that these are good bowlers but not good for RCB kind of pitches. And therefore, for this kind of pitches, they got Bhuvi and Krunal. Because Krunal is one of the players who has a very low economy, even if he doesn't get a lot of wickets, he doesn't give a lot of runs. And that's what needed on a batting pitch like Chinnaswamy. And Krunal had done this really well in one-third for Mumbai Indians. So this was one of the really good moves they had. And obviously, they can't get the best of everything. So they tried Suyash at 3 and a half crore because all the other big leggies are at a much higher price. They should have tried some more scouting. They might have got Digvesh Karthik and the likes of those people. But if we look at the culture and all, I think Suyash was also kind of a right fit there. Bench strength wise, we already discussed that they had a lot more options this time than what they used to have in the past. So I'm not going to discuss much on this part. Now, one big thing they did this time, they just didn't rewarded PK as they used to and let go all the other good players for them. They rewarded everyone who was proven and not just popular. Rajat Patidar did really well for the team, made him just retained Hazlewood, bought him at an even higher price than he was bought last time. Those who were not in form, they tried to replace him with others and created a kind of atmosphere that even whoever is coming, be it Jacob Bethel for Salt, be it Shepard for Livingston, be it Mayank for the other, everyone was started clicking from the first match itself and started performing well. And the big game changer now is the captaincy. The silent general Rajat Patidar's tactical brilliance was one of the big reasons why RCB won this trophy. From the match one till the last match, they had all this crucial moment when Rajat Patidar's captaincy was the reason of the difference. If you look at the bowling attack uh, during Mumbai Indians match, they kept Sonal's over till the very last because they know that it is going to be very difficult for the Sonal to play 17, 16 over, and if it becomes a big over 17, 13 to 19, the fast bowler may not be able to save a lot of runs. But if it is the other way around, Brunel might play give one two dots, and that's how they can be. And that really happened in the match against MI. Even in the matches against CSK and KKR in the very beginning, you would see the kind of bowling that it really helped them in beginning uh, with big margins, which was kind of difficult to predict when RCB was playing in Eden Gardens or Jaipur because this wasn't a general thing for RCB. And even if we look at the other scenarios like the net, if we talk about the final match or even the first qualifier. So before the first qualifier, Deepesh was captaining for two previous matches and RCB went for 200 plus runs. This time they didn't. The clear difference was captaincy and Rajat Patidar's tactical changes during the bowling. Even if you look at the final, the kind of way he gave fourth over to Romario Shepherd, which was the 15th or 16th over of the inning, that looked like a stupid move, but what he did there was he kept one over extra for Dayal, Hazlewood, and Bhuvneshwar. So if one of them doesn't deliver a good first over, he may not have to go for the second over to the same person. And then look at the end. He could have easily gave the over to Yash Dayal, the last over, because Hazlewood wasn't having a better over than Dayal when he first bowled the 15th or 16th over. But what happened at that time? If you look at the past, there has been this kind of mistakes made by a lot of players. Even in Gujarat Titans, yes, there has given 30 runs in the last year. If you look at the first qualifier in 2021, Rishabh Pant instead of Rabada gave the over to Tom Curran and MS Dhoni scored 16 to 20 runs in that over and they went to the final. But this time this didn't happen because he gave the over to Hazlewood. And those people who are thinking that one extra ball could have helped Shashank in winning the trophy, you guys really need to understand that Hazlewood didn't bowl the last ball, four balls, to stop Shashank from hitting. He just wanted to bowl uh, without any wide, without any no ball, so that the team can easily win because team was already winning. If a bowler can play two dots in the first two balls, expecting that he actually gave those 20-24 runs in the last four balls is kind of, I don't know what to say to that. The reality is that even if it would have been 16 runs target in the last over, there is a high chance that Hazlewood has saved it. Yeah, less than 16, it can go anywhere around, but 16 plus will always be the things were on the Hazlewood side. So these are some of the tactical brilliance of Rajat Patidar, and that shows why he is one of the most successful captain of RCB. And if we go by away report, he is the most successful captain ever in IPL with 100% win record. So that's all from our side on the RCB analysis. I believe all the fans should follow and subscribe us so that they can give the review video of their own favorite team. Thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share it with as many people as possible so that more and more people can join our channel and see latest updates on cricket and beyond. Thank you very much.